hey, listen, that voice coming from inside that says that maybe funny music is okay, run with it. You want to do art, you get busy. And it's when you're the busiest that it's going to come flowing out of you. Yeah, thanks. My performance is basically a manic episode. So yes, because all I can say is quack. All I can say is...
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Top Shelf Musings. And today we have with us, drumroll, cue, LadyFingers, aka Shrutika.
Yay, hi. Are you ready to pretend like we don't know each other for 30 minutes?
Yes, definitely not.
Okay,
Hi,
awesome.
Nice to meet you. This is the
Lovely
first
to
time
meet you.
seeing
My God, so proud to have signed with you. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Now before we start the entire, shebang of a podcast and interview, whatnot, we tend to ask every artist a question to open up. Can you give us a song recommendation for the day?
The Less I Know the Better by Tame Impala.
Oh, now that's interesting. Did not expect you to go there.
It's my favorite kind of song because it's like when you first listen to it, you're like, oh, this is such a funky, fun song. Same like Pumped Up Kicks, for example. And then you listen to the lyrics and you're just like, this man his heart is broken. He doesn't want to live, but he's making us feel entertained, and that's pretty cool.
Okay. Do you emulate that in your music?
I attempt to, definitely, because I understand that like the things that we need to talk about on a day-to-day basis are usually depressing, but I don't really see the point of delivering that in a depressing medium. So even if I am talking about something which is deep and dark, I'd rather do it in like a light and bright way. Oh, that rhymes. Yeah.
Let's go back a little. How did the musical journey start? Like, at what point did you decide, not even decide, at what point did you fall in love with music, creating it? Forget becoming a musician or an artist. Falling in love with music.
To be honest, like, it was in college when I tried to sing in school as well, but everybody was really mean to me. And I was never allowed into the choir other than like a few practices. But in college, we had a music society, and even though it was a business school, I was like, let's try this. And I sang like an Adele song because I thought, aim high if you are going to sing. So I sang Rolling in the Deep, and that was my audition song. And we started doing a little bit of performing during college. It started off as just being a part of a choir. Oh. And then I ended up as being one of 3 people who were in like an a cappella trio.
Oh.
And we won competitions across the circuit. And I think that's when I realized that, I really enjoy being on stage. But somehow after that, I kind of stopped playing much. My sister bought my first ukulele, and I started to noodle around with it a little bit, maybe like played a couple of songs. I'm gonna be honest, was like mainly Jason Mraz, because that is what people play when they get a ukulele, and like, oh yeah, Jack Johnson to like really push the boundaries. And I think I didn't really write a proper song until like 2015, which, I mean, I don't know what people your age were doing in 2015, but
I was 15, I was in school.
Oh, okay, so you were not even legal. That's awesome. I was working. So at that point, legally, I actually wrote a song, and I didn't know what I had done. I wrote a song about a guy who isn't making a move. And it was called Slow Mo, and this was in 2015.
Okay.
And I mean, by that time I didn't know what that experience felt like because, nobody said no. But I fast forward to like 5 years after that, I didn't do anything with that song. And it just kind of stayed there. And I had written this entire song, and it was so different than anything I had ever actually heard or I had written usually, but I didn't do anything with it. It was only in 2019, actually, when I got back on stage. I started doing a couple of open mics, I started doing a couple of gigs here or there, and the last performance I did was with a band called Cuckoo's Breakfast, wherein I got the chance to perform with some really kick-ass musicians.
That's a fun performance.
That was
very hype.
Right? Yeah, I know.
We'll insert it somewhere here so people can enjoy it.
Yes, please do. And then again, the pandemic hit. So during the pandemic, I think like most people, you get a lot of time with yourself. And there was this challenge, a song a day challenge.
Oh yeah.
And I took this up. And I ended up writing 13 songs in 13 days.
Oh.
And when I say writing the song, I literally mean like I wrote the entire song. In fact, 4 of those songs are the first 4 songs that I released last year. So it was just an insane thing. It just came to me, and I was like, let's start writing music, and then it just happened.
Are we going to see these unreleased gems that are left, like the slow-mo, the other half of the 13? More than half, actually.
Yeah. Yes, Slow-Mo is actually the first song of my next album, which is coming out. My first album is coming out in July, and then my second album is coming out after that. So, yeah.
Lots of music.
Yes.
But let's break this down thoda aur, okay?
Yeah.
Like, there's this period of time where you didn't do music, right? You went into the corporate scene. What made you want to come back?
So when I was in the corporate world for like 10 years, I know it may sound like, oh, she did the corporate world thing and then she got sick of it and she like left it behind
The
to
cliche
pursue her
engineer,
passion.
guitarist, musician.
They are sometimes the most talented people, though, I'll be honest. But
The pain.
yeah, but to be honest, that's not my story. Like, I had an absolute baller time in the corporate world. If I might say so myself, I absolutely killed it because I was doing a creative job and I was really, really good at it. And for 10 years, every year I tried something new and I would like unlock a different part of my vocation. And I ended up actually in McKinsey. And that's when, I worked there for a year and then I decided that, okay, maybe let's see what is out there just for me. But it was at a certain point where I realized in the last 10 years, everything that I have liked, everything that I have enjoyed, I've been kind of good at.
Yeah.
So here's something that I have always loved. I have always loved writing. I have always loved singing. Why don't I just give this a shot? And if somebody asks me to break it down and tell you exactly when the moment was, I couldn't. I just know that people have asked me to get on stage for the last 5 years. But until the time that I did last month, or maybe 2 months before this, I don't think it was the right moment. And then it just kind of was.
I was there for the gig that you're talking about, and seeing you perform after such a long break, right? And I saw you backstage as well, like you were very anxious. You were like, oh God, need to do this well, this is a break. But when you got up there, despite whatever fumble happened, despite whatever audio problem happened, there was this sense of, this is my space, this is my room, okay? You laugh at my jokes. A mishap happens, oopsie daisy, I'm going to make you laugh now. You had the audience captivated in a sense that they would laugh along with you, they would sing along with you. And most importantly, no matter what, if they didn't know the lyrics, they had a good time, right? Which is a skill that not a lot of people have. It's like a honing thing. For you to have such a big gap and to still be able to do that is one, very commendable. Two, is it an active thought while you're on stage? Like, okay, I have to make this as fun as possible. Because you have this motto, right? Make music fun again.
I think it's basically about the fact that as much fun as you're having on stage, like that's how much fun the audience is going to have, to be honest. And I think there is always this voice in your head that says, oh, you shouldn't say that. And usually in life, that voice is super helpful. That voice gets you ahead in your career. But as a performer, I tend to just ignore that voice. If there is a thought that comes into my head, and if I think it is funny, I will say it. And that's really all that I do, even when I'm at a gig. Like, when I am nervous or when I'm speaking and I'm in the middle of a really deep thought and the sound engineer just like gestures to me and expects me to just continue with what I'm saying, I'm going to stop and I'm going to be like, do you have something to say? Because that's just, why would I not, right? I mean, I'm a person, I'm on stage, I find it funny and so will you.
Yeah.
I get that ballads and songs about pain are the songs that we all know and love, right? And I know we all have songs that are dark and that kind of unlock those parts of your soul that need to be touched once in a while. But to be honest, why can't we just have fun? Like, why can we not? If something is sucking in your life, wouldn't you want to listen to something that lifts your spirit and, have a couple of laughs and have maybe the pain that you're going through acknowledged, but not necessarily indulged?
I had a very funny thought.
Yes.
It's like you having a manic episode versus a depressive episode. Like, manic episodes are crazy and fun as hell and good stories.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, thanks. My performance is basically a manic episode. So yes, please come and watch me live.
You do describe it as a manic energy thing.
That is true. Yes, I'm bringing my signature mania to the stage. So yes, that is how I describe it.
Does that add pressure to your set in any way?
To be honest, no. I think it's more fun when I go up and all the anxiety that I'm feeling before, it kind of sheds because now I'm LadyFingers. And LadyFingers has bigger fish to fry than what anyone thinks or whether this is the right thing to say. She just wants to get up there and have a good time. And that is a huge driving force. The desire, the human desire for joy and happiness is stronger than anything else. And I think that is what drives me as LadyFingers.
That's a good drive. Happiness is an amazing drive.
Yeah.
Do you curate your set list then according to that?
Yeah, I'm actually, because I'm a marketer by profession, I do kind of try to think about things like, okay, when people come in, are they going to be in the mood for this? They first have to get to know me. And I think that's a completely fair journey that, you want your audience to go through. When you first come in, you don't know who the hell I am. You don't know whether you should be listening to me. So I will kind of put a set list together in a way that you get to know what's in store, but at the same time, there's a little bit of surprise, right? Every time you watch me perform, like I would at any time include a rap song, for example, which I've rearranged, or I would include maybe a really old song that, people like marine engineers used to maybe sing. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Tender hand with the movement so quick, and then she'd bend over and suck on his candy so tasty.
Or maybe I would just sing one of my originals, which is funny and heartfelt. It has to always kind of represent the myriad of kind of things that I enjoy, because, like I said, it is when I'm having fun that people are going to have fun.
I think that translates well.
Well, thank you.
It's a good vibe to have around people. Like in general, forget a set. If you walk into a room and someone's happy to see you,
Yeah.
you're happy too.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to fight with them just because they're happy to see you.
Yeah, unless you're my dad. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. More on that later.
but yeah, are there artists like specifically that inspire to curate this kind of set, create this kind of vibe? There has to be musical influences that come in that make you think, okay, I've listened to these many artists, and out of these artists, these few, they have made me feel like a feeling of joy and enjoyment despite saying the saddest things ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, so there are two things that I think I have learned from the artists that I've listened to. The first is the power of storytelling. And I think one of the artists that I have learned that from in a very big way are the Beatles. There is nothing the Beatles have not written about. They have a song about Penny Lane, which is a street in England. They have a song about Eleanor Rigby, which means something completely different to everybody you ask. And they have a song called Octopus's Garden, which is about an octopus's garden. And yet they have Let It Be and they have Yesterday. The entire range of human emotions, nothing was below them when it came to songwriting. And I grew up with them. And I realized that anything I feel, anything I see, anything I do, or anything I think is worth writing about if it sounds good to listen to. The second thing that I think I really learned was the power of humor. And I learned that from artists like Natasha Bedingfield, and maybe this might be surprising, but Johnny Cash has a couple of numbers that are hilarious. And I don't know if enough people know about this, but he has a song called Cadillac, which is literally a song about how he steals a different part of a car every day over many years while working in a factory to build his own Cadillac. Exactly.
I need to listen to this now.
And it's brilliant. And then there's another one called A Boy Named Sue, and he's not a boy named Sue, which is why you're like, what is this song? It was just so cool to hear something which was just funny and something which you would imagine sharing with somebody over a drink, but as music, something you could sing along to and something you could remember and something you could even sound good while saying. And I think these two things really, really influenced me. And in all the way to like the modern age, right? Just look at how Bo Burnham has just killed it in this scene. Look at Jax, right? Jax came out singing just replies to songs that we had all heard. And I think it was artists like these that told me, hey, listen, that voice coming from inside that says that maybe funny music is okay, run with it. So yeah, thanks to them.
Your intrusive thoughts are also thoughts that should be said sometimes.
They are worth it. My intrusive thoughts are probably what I actually think. Sometimes I feel like, but yeah.
That's an interesting thing. Okay. Therapists would be very interested with that.
I can't afford any more money on therapy. Yeah. Oof. That's why I'm singing, because I can't afford therapy anymore.
Your live performances are
therapy. let me just perform live. I can't afford therapy, so yeah, that works.
Okay, so now that we've talked about all this, let's come to your music. You've said how these influences come in to make your sets humorous, to write about things that you truly feel. But the 4 songs you've written about are very human condition songs. Details is about a very specific fight you've had with people.
Yeah.
Right? Jealous is about one specific feeling. Chill is specific. Right? So anxiety is very, very specific. Right?
Yeah.
It hit me very well. I'm like, she gets me.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. But they aren't like funny thoughts, but they're presented in a way that is still, oh yeah, that's me, but also
Yeah.
bro fun.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you translate that over to lyrics, like to maintain your integrity as these are my feelings, these are my experiences, these are my not just intrusive thoughts, my deep emotions of vulnerability, but still make it relatable and fun.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So, a wise woman once told me that there's a difference between funny and fun. And that kind of stayed with me for a while because, to be honest, you can have fun even not cracking jokes, right? Sometimes with your friends, when you're sitting around and having the best time, it could just be like staring at the wall. Well, there might be other substances involved, but, you could just basically be having fun doing absolutely nothing, sitting really still and really calm. And sometimes even the deepest of conversations, which are about nothing more than the human condition and about how difficult it is to just survive every day, can also be fun because you're opening up. So I think in my first 4 songs, I didn't force myself to necessarily just sing and write what I wanted to be like on stage as a performer. I think I keep those things separate. I think when I'm writing, I just want to be honest. I want everything to come out. I wrote Anxiety as a song that acknowledge just how incredibly difficult it is to live as somebody who has, properly diagnosed anxiety and depression. And I wrote Jealous because insecurity is something that's always driven me, and it's something that has always bothered me. I wrote Details because it was something that I always get accused about. People are like, you love me, but you don't know me. How does that work? And I wrote Chill because I'm so sick of people saying, oh, you're anxious? Just chill, just relax. That's okay. That'll go away. Like, thanks, that helped. And I think that's the beauty of being a performing artist, that you've written a song, it's out there, it's yours, but now you can do whatever the hell you want with it. You can make multiple renditions of that one song over the years and just invent yourself and reinvent yourself over and over again.
I have a very personal opinion. Sometimes the live versions are so much better than the studio versions
Absolutely.
because there's this element of rawness, vulnerability, but also fun.
Yeah.
Because the performer is enjoying, the audience is enjoying, and you as a listener, even if it's like a live version on Spotify, have the immersive experience of this is nice.
One of the ways that I do that is that when I'm performing, I will always share why I wrote the song. I will always tell you, this is what I had in mind, this is what I felt. And I will always take you on a journey with me. And even if that journey is kind of raw, and that journey is kind of, hey, I'm still in pain from this thing that happened, I will tell you the way that it happened. I will allow you to feel it with me. So I'm not kind of running away from the hard experience, because to be honest, songwriting it digs deep. You have to go into experiences that, are quite difficult very often, and even if they are funny to listen to or fun to, enjoy and watch on stage, very often you do have to go into parts of history that are challenging, and right, you have to kind of talk about experiences. I mean, hello, Taylor Swift. So, you have to talk about things that kind of sucked, and just because you can do it with a broken heart, doesn't mean that it's, not definitely challenging to still go through. So I think maintaining my integrity on stage is just that at any point, my role is always, if this is what the thought is, I will share it. Even if that thought today is different than what it was 3 months ago, I'll be honest about it. That's completely okay.
Have people come back to you and talked about the specific incidents you've written about?
Yeah, the good thing about being single is that everybody thinks every song is about them. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That one night was like so important that I wrote a song about it. Like, thanks. Of course this was about you. So, yeah. It's simultaneously about everyone and no one. And I think what I loved, by the way, is that the first song that I released, Anxiety, it was purely about what's going on inside my head. And I felt that was, I didn't plan it that way, but it was such an empowering thing, because I think we have grown up thinking that unless something happens to you, you can't write about it. But as an anxious person, things are always happening to you.
Life is a daily struggle.
Yeah, even if there's nobody around, it's tougher inside.
And there's this track I specifically really like from you called Details. Okay? This is a very flip around track. I find very fun.
Thank you.
And it's a great live performance because it incorporates the audience into it. There's Domino's references.
Yes.
How do you come up with that thought process? You know, I'm going to reference Domino's ka phone number. I'm going to write a friend's reference yahan pe. I'm going to switch the entire meaning of the song. End mein tumhe shock lagega. How do you do that?
This would be a good place to be like, this is my process, and this is what I studied, and then I did this and I read this. But seriously, I told you, 13 songs in 13 days. It came to me. I write a song and something has happened in that minute, and I'm like, hey, iske baare mein kuch likhte hai. And then I just follow wherever the song goes. I know the general structure. थोड़ा सा verse लिखेंगे, थोड़ा सा chorus लिखेंगे, थोड़ा सा bridge लिखेंगे. But overall, once the story is there in my head, I just keep writing until I feel like the story has been told. One thing I definitely like to do is I make sure that if I've started a thought in a song, I will finish that thought. I don't like lyrics that start off like, you make me feel like a bird, and then the next time a bird is doing something else in the same song. I do think that tight songwriting is something that we should all kind of aspire for. But I do feel that overall, when it comes to lyrics, one thing I would always do when I'm writing my own music is that I try to be as specific as possible. I will never just pick up a emotion, or I will, never just pick up an experience. I'll pick up a part of that experience. I'll pick up like one moment where that emotion got really severe, and then I want to talk about that, right? And one thing that is quite interesting is that you've said that my lyrics are very like vulnerable and authentic, because to be honest, like sadness, when you're really sad, you just want to cry. But it's art when it comes out of us. It's coming because the healing process has already begun. And all you need to do is kind of document that. So one of the things that a lot of people have come to me and said that, like, how do you write so much? Because to be honest, like, I have written so many songs. I cannot wait. If, producers were not so expensive, I would be producing a song a week. But I cannot afford to. In case that anybody wants to do this pro bono, hit me up. If you look at Taylor Swift, for example, how does she write that many songs? Like, how is it that she has written that many songs and not managed to overlap, right? It's because she gets specific with her songwriting.
Emotions are overlapping, the specific incidents and the moments she captures.
Exactly. Or
not.
Even if you look at rap, for example, which is where I get a lot of, I think in terms of songwriting, rap is the best teacher. I really think that, really, just, are you following the beef? Like, are you seeing how...
A minor.
Are you seeing how prolific they're getting, right? And all he's writing about is like one part of one rapper's history, right? So I think there is a lot of lyrical experimentation that each of us should be doing. And I think one thing that I would advise anybody to avoid is writing because you think that is what you should be saying. I think that's really important. If it's not true for you, just don't write it. Because if you're just trying to sound like what you think you should sound like, if somebody else is trying to do the same, you will end up sounding the same. But if you talk about something that's only happened to you in words that have only come to you, then I don't think anybody can replicate that. When you talk about relatability, I don't think I make an attempt in any way to say something that I think people will relate with. I don't think so. I think the most important thing if you want to write lyrics that people relate with is value your own thoughts. That voice that comes up and says, that's probably stupid, ignore that voice. You are at the end of the day having a human experience. And I can guarantee you that if you document that experience, somewhere someone is going to relate with it.
Coming further to this thought of like documenting your life, do you like journal then? Are your notes apps or recordings full of things you go about on a day-to-day basis, like, oh, this intrusive thought or this feeling is sitting with me, let me just note it down?
are you kidding? Of course. Like my notes app, like I cannot wait. I just want to be famous enough that when I die, people look at my notes app and they're like, oh my God, look at like this is where she started because oh my God, the notes. And sometimes I listen to my audio notes and I'm like, this is so good. Where is the producer?
Pull a Taylor Swift and do it as a bonus track. Like
Yeah.
bonus note, bonus demo recording. Right.
That's absolutely it, right? It's just like, oh wow. And sometimes I come up with these little tunes and I'm like, oh, this is so fun. And then I like step into different genres and I'll be like, oh, I didn't know I could do this and I do that. And then it just dies because I can't afford a producer. I mean, it's just, coming back to the point. It's just about that, right? But yeah, I think the most important thing is, seriously, people say this all the time. When you get the time, then I will do my art. Aisa kuch time nahi hai. You want to do art, you get busy. And it's when you're the busiest that it's going to come flowing out of you and you're going to just have to make a note of it, or you're going to have to make like, maybe an audio recording, or you're going to have to tell a friend that I had this thought, it is going to blow your mind, and that's enough, right? But don't let that thought go. And yeah, that's about it.
When you make these little tunes, right, in your notes app, in your voice recordings, and you come up with them, how easy is it for you to communicate the exact tune or the melody or the music you're imagining while making that recording to a producer?
That's actually really difficult, and I have loved the process of learning how to work with different people. I think it's easy to kind of sit in a room and be like, I will write this song. And it's very nerve-wracking, especially for somebody who's just starting out, to sit in a room where there are 5 musicians and feel like you're the one who doesn't know how to do anything because, you will always meet guitar players who can just pick up a ukulele and play it better than you. And I'm just like, thanks, I practiced
we
this.
sadly can't pan camera, otherwise we could pan it to Mr.
I'm looking at
Sardeep,
you.
who came in.
Just picked up the ukulele, and guitar players can always play the ukulele better, right? It's so irritating. But it's very intimidating to kind of sit inside a room, do a jam, right? Which is something people these musician people, they just throw it around. Just do a jam. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, I can't jam. I can just show up with like my voice and like my thoughts. And if you give me an instrument, I will drop it. And what if I can't show up? And it is, however, extremely fun when you learn to get out of that process, right? When you're sitting in a room and 3 or 4 people are just kind of noodling on their own instruments, they're all in their own vibe, but somewhere a note will hit. And somewhere you'll be like, "Arey, ye acha tha, ye fir se baja." And something just kind of happens. And I have found that some of my best lyrical explorations, some of my, have happened with other people. Like, for example, there's a song that I wrote called Instant Regret, which I wrote with a friend of mine called Sagar Jolly. And it is I would consider it like the bangerest of the bangers that I've written.
Why isn't it out?
Oh, it's coming soon. But I think that song literally came about because we were talking and we were saying, I want to write about something that, when you say this thing and then you get kind of embarrassed, like, oh God, why did I say that? Oh my God. And then he's like, yeah, like that instant regret. And I was like, ooh, nice. And then I just picked that up and we started writing about it, right? So I think working with other people, kind of learning to inculcate everything that they know without feeling intimidated is a process in itself. When you're working with a producer, this producer knows a lot about production, but they don't know about you. They don't know what you are imagining. They don't know what you want to do with your music. They don't know how you want to make people feel. And if to communicate that to your producer, is a tough thing for sure. But I think it's something that you learn just by going through everything that you've heard and saying, this is what I'd like to sound like. This is something that I'd like to say. This is something that I'd like to, make someone feel. So, yeah. I don't know.
Is there a level of trust that you need to inculcate with your producer or with your mix guy or with whoever you're working with creatively to have that openness to cross-share your ideas, to...
Oh, absolutely. I think trust is so important. And to be honest, whenever you're making art, especially in a scene like ours, in a country like ours, where you think of something or you want to do something and there are always like 8,000 other people who've had the same idea, I think it is definitely scary to share your thoughts, to share your ideas, to even collaborate with somebody, because what if they disappear? What if they, and this has happened to me a lot. I've had my fingers burned many times with producers who've disappeared on me, with instrumentalists who haven't showed up for gigs, with artists who kind of had a tantrum and said, I don't want to work on your song art anymore 3 days before I was supposed to, upload it. So I've had my experiences that have been difficult, but I think once you are able to explain to this person, look, you are with me on this. When we create this, we're creating it together. It is now ours. I think it's so important. Like, I think my favorite part of any gig is when I get to thank everybody else that I'm on stage with. Because I love to thank people who've made this song come alive. I even love to, in fact, every person at a gig, from like a sound engineer to the person capturing the video to the person capturing the BTS footage. All these people are what's making that one video come alive, right? And I do think that the more people you can surround yourself with who believe that, look, right now you're exploring, it's going to get better, it's going to get more fun, the more free you'll feel to explore yourself. So I would definitely stress that it's a great thing to do alone, but it's more fun when you do it with other people. So find other people to do it with.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Okay.
Coming to all these experiences you've had with these different producers or artists in general who've like burned your fingers. Like,
sorry, one thing. While I like saying that I'm an artist, there is this one phrase that I kind of live by, which says that why define yourself as a noun when you can define yourself as a verb? Sorry, did we give a pretentiousness warning? Because it's coming. But essentially what this means is that I don't like to say I'm an artist. I like to say I sing and I write and I dance and I sometimes do the hula hoop. Because I think that just keeps you freer to try things and not have to always maintain, I am an artist and I am a singer, which just creates a should in your mind, which you don't need. Go ahead.
So these people who've burned your fingers,
Yes.
right, in the process of creating your music, you're not someone who's new to the industry, but you're not also someone who's been here for so long that you've completely been seasoned. You're also exploring, you're learning, you took a break, you came back, the scene must have changed in those years as well. What have you observed, learned about the indie music scene or just the Delhi music scene, the art people you work with, the producers around? What have you noticed that, and what have you picked up that you think other people should be aware of when they come in?
So I'm a little scared, I'll be honest. Because when you're in the corporate world, you have politics, but at least the person that I was, I didn't actively have haters, people who were just going around me like, you suck. But yeah, as somebody who does music, I have already had people coming up to me and being like, oh, it's a tough road, have you thought about it? Are you sure? Especially when they find out that I want to do like fun music and I want to do like crazy upbeat performances. People are always like, but who's going to come and watch that?
There's a level of looking down upon people who create art
and
or
I'm just
any
like,
kind of music.
What? Like, art is literally the reason that we are alive. Art is what like drives one generation to another and what keeps the civilization going. But I do feel that the scene, what I've heard of right now is that it's tough. I do feel that there are so many artists, there are so many singer-songwriters, and there are so few platforms. I do feel that, from everybody that I talk to, I hear the same story and it's kind of sad. Oh, it's difficult to get gigs, or oh, you can't really make it as a musician and it's difficult to earn money, and that sucks. Because look at what they're creating. The kind of music that is being created in the indie scene, there's absolutely no limit to it. Look at the videos that people are creating. Look at the art that people are creating. And the fact that they don't have enough support from in an institutional sense, or even in your own friend circle, right? Like, I know that we all say that we support one another, but it is difficult to muster the energy to go for a gig because you're like, oh, I had work, I couldn't make it to your gig. You would expect that if you have 20 friends in your life, you will always have 20 people in your gig, in your audience, but that somehow doesn't happen. Because on the other hand, if I said I'm getting married, people will fly in from everywhere. But if I have my first gig, they'll be like, oh shit, sorry, I have something more important to do. But I do feel that when it comes to the indie scene, it's very intimidating because people have given me a lot of heads up about how it's really difficult. And what I find so funny is that we're all aspiring to a level of success which nobody can define. what do you mean by becoming a successful artist? I mean, even when you're the most successful person in the world, people are still going to hate on you. And even, I mean, people still think Adele can't sing. How do you argue that? People still think Taylor doesn't write her own songs. Hey, is this just a women thing? I'm just kidding. But I think in the indie scene, what I have observed is that there are a lot of people who are always eager to kind of collaborate with you, but you have to make it worth their while because everybody is having a tough time. Everybody really just wants to do art, but unfortunately life gets in the way.
It's hard to sustain the art life.
Yeah, and that kind of sucks because I wish that this was the easiest life. I wish that people who chose to just make other people happy with their art had it easier than everyone else, but as it turns out, it's not that easy. The positive is that, have you seen what the indie scene is right now?
It's fun.
It's everything.
So many people.
There is someone in the indie scene doing everything. Like, indie as a word has lost all meaning because we are like, indie is an all-consuming genre that just, you know, starts at the C chord and ends at like anything else. You know, because to be honest, I have met so many indie musicians who are playing jazz and who are writing things in like other languages and multiple together, and people who are composing music and people who are, you know, even just, oh my god, the indie scene is explosive.
It's at a good boom where there's a great diversity of people,
Yeah.
where if you go to one gig, you'll meet so many musicians, allies of those musicians, people who just love the creation.
Absolutely. And I think a great part of that is also as society is opening up a little bit, I'm so excited to see more representation of women musicians, LGBTQIA musicians who are now feeling more comfortable to embrace that kind of music. I would love that because I think there's so many segments of society who have till now maybe not had a platform, and I would love to actually see more of them come out and tell us what's up. Come out, lol. No, don't.
Okay. Now to bring us to this kind of fun segment, which was in all fairness, her idea, because she wanted a challenge and not just come in and do a performance of a song. This is not shade, I'm so sorry, not shade. Okay? She wanted us to give us a little, nudge, a few prompts for her to create some music on the spot.
What kind of prompts have you come up with?
I
meant like little easy prompts. What have you come up with?
We have 3. These were the room.
God.
We got 1 each.
You guys all brainstormed the prompts?
No, we just gave 1 word each.
Oh god, there's
But
like 4
Sanish has
creative
not
brains.
yet, but
Sanish, ऐसी दे दो.
give us a word.
4 creative brains got
Give me a
together to
word.
fuck with me.
Prompt 1 from here. Existential dread.
Oh god, I'm not 21 yet. I can't think about these things.
Prompt 2 from here.
No, wait, don't tell me. I'll work on the first one first.
Oh.
So, existential dread, right? I woke up in the morning, but did I really wake up? I had a thought and it got me thinking about what's really up. I kinda thought that I could be sad, but maybe the day is just bad. I thought that maybe I could tell my dad that he's made me feel bad. 'Cause when nothing ever has a meaning, what's the point of trying? 'Cause I could feel really like this is the best day, but what's the point? 'Cause it's gonna go away. It's gonna go away. It's gonna go away. It's gonna go away.
Oh.
Right? That is what existential dread is, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna go away. Yeah.
Very good. The next prompt
But did you like the first one?
I did like
Okay,
the first one. I need you to release it ASAP, please.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Next prompt from Mr. Dhruv Mishra behind this camera is obesity.
Bro, are you going through something? What is this prompt? Obesity. Obesity. It's killing Americans. Obesity. It's not as easy as you think. Obesity. It's not another word for being fat. Obesity. It's got some stigma around it, but overall it's bad. And what you kinda need to do if you're obese is go to a doctor. 'Cause I'm not a medical professional and I cannot advise you on how to feel better if you're obese. Not that I'm saying you need to feel better, because maybe you feel completely okay even though you are obese. Right? And maybe that's maybe completely okay. But your doctor might not think so. And don't fall for the hate, because people on the internet are mean. And that's really wrong, because you can be really happy and fulfilled even though you are obese.
I love that.
I think I've been cancelled.
You are very politically correct.
One-way road or two-way street?
One-way road,
Or
two-way street.
Whichever you want to pick.
Two-way street, okay.
Okay.
Have you ever tried to make anyone come? It doesn't happen if you're just thinking about yourself. Have you ever tried to give someone some pleasure? Doesn't happen if you're just fingering yourself. It's a two-way street. You gotta give and then you gotta eat.
This should go on a reel at least. At least.
Oh god.
The prompt ends here. This is perfect.
Prompt landed.
Prompt landed. We have succeeded. Now, if you thought these were weird, funny, or slightly confusing, we have the resident weirdo, Mr. Sarvdeep Singh Arora's prompt.
What have you done?
Quack.
Quack!
Quack.
Like doctors who don't know anything.
Quack, quack.
Oh, the duck sound.
Quack,
Okay.
quack.
The ducks who don't know anything.
The ducks who don't know anything.
Ducks going for existential dread.
Quacks.
Obese duck. Let's connect with me after this one.
Life's been really hard. I try to express myself with words, but life's been really hard. I can't seem to move forward. Life's been really hard. Sometimes I find myself in water. Life's been really hard. I try to say it out loud, but all that came out was quack. Quack. I think I'm about to crack. Or am I on crack? 'Cause all I can say is quack. All I can say is quack. Come on. All I can say is quack. Am I about to crack? 'Cause all I can say is quack.
Group moment.
Group! Team effort, guys.
TSM.
We have succeeded.
I also make entire full songs, with like proper music and instrumentation.
Not just for Instagram.
Yeah, not just for Instagram. Do stream my music. I'm LadyFingers.
Links everywhere.
Okay. Cool.
Now that you've given us like a fun little performance, we have something for you. But before that, we need to ask you.
Okay.
What's next for you? We know an album's coming in July. We know a track with him on. And another album this year. How's it going? What can we expect?
The first album that I'm actually releasing in July this year, it's called Attachments. And the reason it's called Attachments is because it essentially plots what my relationships have been like, which, if I had to draw a graph, is basically anxiety, where it's a little bit exciting, and then there's like a little bit of jealousy, which is like, oh, you don't like me, I like you, and then you like start having a little bit of fights because like, you don't know this about me, and then chill is just like, when they're telling you to just, they're annoying you and you have a little bit of a fight, and then it kind of plateaus. The last song I'm releasing in the album is called Less to Love, which I'm doing with him on. And that song basically says, because of everything that I've gone through and because every relationship has been so difficult, now there's less to love. And the funny thing is, you might expect oh, that is so sad. Why would I listen to this song? But that is not what you are going to feel when you listen to the song.
Tying back to the start where you want upbeat. yet
Exactly,
make
because
you
it's
cry.
joy and yet it's kind of hopeless in its message. But I think Attachments is my song, is my ode to just the difficulty of how interpersonal relationships now are so difficult, because I feel like, even if you're not somebody who's looking for a commitment, even if you're somebody who's just going out for like dates here or there, I feel like every time you go for a date, you are opening like a little window in the Hawa Mahal of your heart, right? And even if it closes, it's just one window, but it hurts. You
Yeah.
know? And at the end of it, you're just like, okay, I'm exhausted. There's less to love. So I think this album is kind of exploring that, right? And I think, oh my god, it's so much fun. My first album, Attachments, is going to be the side of me that you know right now. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be real, and it's going to be raw, and it's going to be like manic. And the second album is going to be sexy. I know you can't imagine it right now, but it's going to be sexy. The second album is going to be super fun. It's going to be like when, like, you can't take your parents to watch my show, but you might like become parents by the end of the night. You know what I mean?
I mean, your dad was at yours, and I know what you
that got
sang.
really dark, really fast, Payal, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You're lucky mine wasn't there.
You're lucky he wasn't there. I'm kidding. Okay, yeah. That's so...
Okay,
Yeah.
we look forward to them. Okay,
Yes.
I kind of want to see what the second album's like because there's a switch up coming
Yes.
soon,
Yes.
and it'll go great.
But it's all about the fingers.
Yes, of course.
Lady Fingers.
not Gaga.
Music, yeah. Lady Fingers.
Right? You've given us what's next. You've given us performance. We have a little something for you.
Yay.
Cue in gift. Gimme.
What?
First for the cameras. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3.
Focus भी नहीं आ रहा है, रुको ना. Good, we got it. I think. Yeah.
We got it. For you.
Oh my god, it's my nose! And all my other features. But mainly just my nose, I think. Whoa. Oh, and my finger. Oh, obviously, I did not draw this because those fingers are pretty neat. Oh, with that one, then fingers are pretty neat.
We had an artist who
This is
pulled
so
through
sweet.
last moment. Guys,
Shout out to Charu Sharma.
Shout out to
Shout
Charu.
out to Charu Sharma. Everybody be like Charu Sharma. Thank you. How sweet.
She pulled in like a trooper, dude.
This is so nice.
Like this was done with her fingers.
With her fingers, of course.
With her lady fingers.
Like,
Yes. Okay, now this has turned manic.
yeah. Thank you for this.
Thank you for coming on to the show.
Like, it was like a return gift. Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay.
We have good manners here.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Mummy taught us nicely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've concluded our manic episode, see you on the next one. Bye.